everyone. Today we'll be studying the topic on tissue. So, to understand tissue, first we have to understand the definition of tissue. Tissue is a group of cells with similar structure and function. Now, these cells have a common origin and their structure is similar, and they also perform a common function together. So such group of cells are known as tissue. Now let us understand different levels of organization in an organism with the help of a pyramid. The first level of organization is cell. Now, cell is the fundamental unit of any living organism. Many similar structure and functional cells are grouped together to form tissue. Such tissues grouped together which perform similar type of function are grouped together to form organ. Such organs further join together or group together, work together to form organ system, and many such different types of organ system group together to finally form the level of organism, a complete organism. In tissue we see specialization of cells. Now this specialization is due to differentiation of cells. Differentiation on the basis of size, structure and function. Next is that we see division of labor in tissue, which means that different components of the body take up different functions. So we see division of labor because of that. Some tissues are having one particular function. Some cells group together to form one particular type of function. So division of labor is maintained within the body like this manner. Next is the study of tissue is known as histology. Next, the topic is whether plant and animal tissues are same. To understand this, we have to divide it in certain points. The first point is movement. Now, movement, if we consider the point movement, then in plants are generally fixed, they are stationary, and they require more supportive tissues, right? Now, animals are mobile. They keep moving from one place to another in search of food, shelter and protection, and they also require more energy, and that energy is required to move from one place to another in search of food, shelter and protection. Next is the pattern of growth. In plant, it is seen that the growth continues throughout the life, whereas in case of animals, the growth seems to come at rest after certain span within their life. Next, structural organization of organs and organ system. Now, according to mobility as well as different feeding methods, animal as well as plant, they have their own structural organization of organ and organ system. Now we will understand the classification of plant tissue with the help of a flow chart. Plant tissue is broadly classified under two broad classes. First, meristematic tissue Second, permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue is further classified into three types: apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and lateral meristem. On the other hand, permanent is further divided into two types: simple permanent and complex permanent. Simple permanent is further classified into three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Complex permanent is further divided into two types: xylem and phloem. We will be talking about all these type of tissues individually. So first, let us again understand meristematic tissue. Just as we have seen in the previous slide, so meristematic tissues are further divided into three types on the basis of their location. First, apical meristem, next, intercalary meristem, and the third, lateral meristem. In the next slide, we will see meristematic tissues and its characteristics. The first is that cells of this type of tissues are called meristematic tissues. With the help of a figure, we can easily understand meristematic tissues. And these type of cells, they divide and form new cells. These cells are seen to be small, spherical, and thin-walled active cells. As we can see the diagram given here, it easily explains us that there is no intercellular space present in between the cells. They have dense cytoplasm and they don't have any vacuole. Vacuoles are absent. So these are active cells without vacuoles present in it. Vacuoles help to store food, cell sap, but just because they are active cells, they rapidly divide and form new cells, so they don't require vacuoles, and that is why they keep dividing and forming new cells. Next, we will understand types of meristem, and on the basis of their location, they are divided into three types. As you can see the schematic diagram of a plant, the upper aerial part of the plant, the regions are divided into three types of meristem found different location. On top we see apical meristem. In between the in the nodes we see intercalary and lateral, which occurs at both the sides of stem and root. So the first type is apical, which occurs at the tip of stems as well as roots. Next, intercalary, which is seen to occur at intermediate positions. That means the positions where at the base of the leaves, base of the internodes, below the nodes. So these type of intercalary meristem helps in the growth of leaves and internodal region, right? The apical helps in the growth of the length of root and stem. Next is the lateral meristem, which occurs on both the sides of stem and roots. Now, these types help in the development of the girth of the stem as well as the girth of the root. They develop laterally. In fact, it is also seen that lateral meristem are of two types, cambium and cocambium, vascular cambium and cork cambium. Now, these vascular cambium and cork cambium help in further formation of xylem and phloem in the future. Next, we will see an activity to understand the presence of meristem. So, we have to take two glass jars and fill them with water. Now, we have to take two onion bulbs and place one on each jar, as you will see beside in this figure, like this way. So two jars, jar number 1 filled with water, jar number 2 also filled with water, and we have to place both the onion bulbs on these jars. Next, we have to observe the growth of roots in both the bulbs for few days, and we have to measure the lengths of roots on day 1, day 2 and day 3. Now we have to cut the root tips of the onion bulb on day 4 in jar 2 about 1 centimeter, and after this observe the growth of the roots in both the jars and measure their length each day for 5 more days and record the observation in tables as you will see in this figure. So you have to prepare a table like this where you have to see the growth of the length of the root in jar 1, first onion for day 1, then day 2 till day 5, and we have to also do the same thing for onion bulb which has been placed on jar 2. Next, we come to the functions of meristem. So, the first is that it helps in the formation of new cells. So, as they divide, they keep on forming new cells. So, meristematic tissue is the parent tissue that helps in the formation of further tissues, developed tissues. It helps to produce new leaves, stems, flowers, etc. These are formed by meristematic cells. As you can see, this is the root tip, and as we have discussed that meristems are divided according to their location: apical, intercalary and lateral. Next, it matures to produce other types of tissues, which means that meristems or meristematic tissue is the parent tissue from which other tissues develop. Meristematic tissues develop or matures to form different types of other tissue. Next, we will summarize all the points which we have discussed in this slide. Number 1, tissue is a group of cells with similar structure and function. Next, tissue when we study about tissues, it is known as histology. Plant tissues are of two main types, meristems and permanent. Meristematic tissue is the dividing tissue present in the growing regions of the plant. Next, meristematic tissues again can be further classified because of their position. There are three types: apical, intercalary, and lateral. Meristematic tissues helps in the production of new leaves, stems, flowers, etc. So, as we summarize this portion, we come to the end of this particular topic. Thank you.